Welcome to a new episode of The Startup Show. Today we're here at the Start Summit 2017 and I have the big pleasure to meet with Valentin, the CEO and co-founder of N26. Welcome to The Startup Show.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to a new episode of The Startup Show. I'm really excited to be here at the Start Summit 2017, a student-organized startup conference with a lot of visitors. And today I have the really big pleasure to meet Valentin, the co-founder of N26. So before we get into the show and you explain us what it's all about, maybe give a little bit of background about who you are.
So I've actually been born and raised in Vienna, then studied in Switzerland in St. Gallen, accounting and finance, my bachelor's degree and then my master's degree. And then started at Rocket Internet as an internet entrepreneur. After doing that for some time, founded my own company. It's now 4 years back. We founded N26 together with an old friend of mine, Maximilian, whom I know for more than 15 years. And since then, we're doing N26. So we're building...
Well, 1 second. We want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship before we get into what you do, because we want to hear about your thoughts. You also graduated from the University of Scotland, where I also study at the moment. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what happened once you graduated, what went through your head when you decided, what's the future of your career?
I think that was one of, obviously, the most important decisions for me. Going into the internet startup scene or working with a traditional consulting company or investment banking company. I think after university and during university, I looked at the different opportunities. So I looked at investment banking, I looked at consulting, so the classical things everybody in St. Gallen is excited about.
Yeah.
And then I looked at these things and so after university, then completing my master's degree, obviously I did the application rounds with all the big banks and consulting companies, but I also looked at some different things. Actually, I wasn't sure anymore if I wanted to join a bank that is not really growing, where you can draw slides, don't have responsibility. And then I wanted to do something that is much more entrepreneurial. I wanted to do something where I can create something, where the industry is maybe doubling or more every year. So I thought the internet industry is a good place to be. And then I joined Rocket Internet, got a job there, and I was able to work on new startups, small startups, building them up from scratch, obviously not myself, but together with a team.
Right.
And I got the experience of that it's possible from having no employees going to 80 employees within 6 months. I think that showed me something, that it's possible to build your own company. And after doing that for some time with Rocket, I said I want to do something that is even more entrepreneurial.
Right.
I wanted to go full risk as an entrepreneur. And then I quit my job and I founded my company together with Maximilian, my co-founder.
So let's not hold back the audience of what N26 is all about for the very few percentage of people who are watching who have no idea yet what it is. So maybe you can give a little bit of a 1 minute introduction.
Happy to do that. So I think with N26, we've built the mobile bank of the future. So we have today more than 300,000 customers. Our product is on the market since 2 years. And what you can do with our product is you open a fully fledged bank account, you get a card to it, and we just recently built all the products from saving to investment to credit. And there are more products coming up, for example, insurance products and so on. So N26 is really the home for all your financial problems, starting with the bank account, but going beyond.
Can you visualize this a little bit for me? Now, when I go, let's say in Switzerland, I go to my bank account, to branch, I open an account. What's different now? If I have to see that in a practical, visual way, what happens on your website?
So I think what we have built with N26 is really a bank account for digital natives. So really focused on the mobile experience. So I think we have set a new standard in mobile banking, I would say in Europe, but also around the world. That starts with opening an account. So opening an N26 account takes 6 minutes, no paperwork. We do a video conference to verify your identity. But it goes further. If you want to get a credit up to 50,000 euros, you can get that within 2 seconds. I would say 2 minutes, maybe realistically. And then you get it paid out directly onto your account. You can, for example, block your card with a simple click, unblock your card. There are many more features within your experience. You can, for example, do an international transfer. We use a different startup in the background that is doing it, TransferWise, which is based in the UK. So normally if you do an international transfer, the transfer is 6 times cheaper than with a traditional bank. So there's a lot of things we bring together just to give you an up-to-date and I would say digital native retail banking experience.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I mean, you took on a challenge, I would say, that is probably one of the biggest challenges. Yeah. The biggest banks in Switzerland with 2 and 3 letters, they're really scared of what's going to happen. You see when you speak to all of these people, they don't know what the future
Yeah.
brings, what digitalization
Yeah.
brings. So it's really interesting industry. So that's like a nice segue into, let's say, fintech and all the retail banking. I mean, like you're building yourself the product, but where do you see, let's say, the banking retail in 5 to 15 years in terms of the expertise that you see now?
I think what you have to realize is that young people and people our age don't really see the value out of going into a bank branch. I think on the other hand, having a big network of bank branches is very costly. I think that together with the most modern technology brings you into a position as a startup or a young company like ours to have a much better cost price and offer a product that is much better at a lower cost base. When you think about where's retail banking going, I think it's going to be much less balance sheet revenue that you're doing, so much less out of the interest rates and interest spread, but much more out of commission income. So what we are also doing is we're not trying to build all the products ourselves, but we're trying to build a platform where you use the best companies from around the world and give them access to our app. And then if you want to have a credit, the experience is completely on your mobile phone within the N26 app. But maybe the credit, the money is fueled from someone else in the background. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how banking is changing. I think it's much more about the customer relationship and not so much about the capital and where it's coming from.
Right. It's very interesting. I mean, like I see it also among my friends. They don't mind to move to digital, but they still want some kind of advice in terms of investment. So, I could speak to you for hours, but like I would like to wrap up the show a little bit about entrepreneurship. You're definitely one of the successful entrepreneurs, but maybe you can also talk a little bit, one or two things that happen to you that are challenges, that are hard among entrepreneurs or on the journey. And
so I think the hardest is really always to focus on the customer. It's always, we started out with a different product in the beginning, a prepaid card for teenagers. We did it for 8 months and then we completely stopped it and did something different. So it was still similar technology. It was still, I think, part of the journey. I think we wouldn't have founded the bank from the beginning on. It was too big for us. But going the journey from a prepaid card for teenagers to seeing that it's not so far away from a bank account and then pivoting the model to really founding a bank, I think that there was something that was good for us. I think also there are different times in a startup where you have to take different hard decisions in terms of, do you want to continue with a certain product, with a certain feature in the product?
Probably what happened with prepaid.
Absolutely,
was probably a hard decision.
Absolutely. I mean, explaining to all your investors that you continue with a different product and so on, it's not so easy. Although as an entrepreneur, you know first, and you should always do what you know first, you should always do it. Every day there are tough decisions. If you have to fire people, if you have to hire people, you have to take the right decisions. But the important thing is that you take decisions.
Right.
You shouldn't stop. You should always go on, take decisions. Sometimes, some decisions obviously are wrong. Some others are good. And luckily, we're in the position right now that we might have taken more right decisions than wrong decisions. But it's not always
I'm
easy.
happy to hear.
Absolutely.
Good. Valentin, thank you very much for being part of the Startup Show here at the Start Summit. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of the Startup Show. Thank you for your attention and I'll see you soon with a new episode. Have a good day.